Hello and welcome to Ms. PM Reads, where we are continuing in Abscond by GG Wagner. And our last video, sorry, just checking the volume. Our last video had Lyzee telling her mother she was leaving, getting a ride from the pastor and his wife to Gwen and Mark's house, the parents of Rory, her friend who was killed in a car accident. And she made the announcement that she did not want to keep the baby. She was going to give it up for adoption. All right, so now it's Christmas. A low rumble vibrated the floor beneath Lyzee's feet, and she moved to the window just in time to see the brightest red glow of brake lights as the car disappeared beneath her. The music was distorted, but she recognized the tune, "Oh, Holy Night," one of her favorites, and from the sound of it, Gwen's too. She struggled with the lever on the underside of the ironing board, panic raising when she heard the car door close. If she didn't get this thing collapsed and out of sight, there would be questions of her newfound interest in laundry. The idea had come to her soon after Gwen left this morning, when she found Rory's old t-shirts in a bag on the closet floor. The slick plastic had "Goodwill" written in bold print, and Lyzee had not stopped since. The garage door rattled shut as she reached the bottom of the steps. "I come bearing muffins and hot chai lattes from Spring." "You were going to say Hill. I can't believe you went to my favorite bakery without me." Lyzee swallowed the smile that threatened to give her away while reaching for the pastry in Gwen's outreached hand. Oh, the sacrifices for Christmas surprises. "Did you at least sleep in?" "Not really. I'm kind of working on my own surprise," Lyzee said. "Does it have anything to do with Peggy's visit earlier?" "Oh, no, she didn't stay long. She just needed to drop off the forms so I could get started on the adoption plan." Lyzee grinned at Gwen. "Speaking of surprises, though, I need to go upstairs and make sure I didn't leave anything out I wouldn't want you to find." It had taken longer than she expected, and when she came back down, Gwen was nowhere to be seen. She followed the noise coming from the basement, where she found Gwen maneuvering a stack of boxes piled nearly to the ceiling. "Can I help?" Lyzee asked. "Sure. I'll hand you some of the lighter ones and we can carry them to the living room." Gwen repositioned the step stool, putting her closer to the pyramid of boxes, and reached for one on the top, handing it to Lyzee. "What is all this?" Gwen stopped what she was doing and looked around at the mountain of boxes with crimson-colored cheeks. "Our Christmas decorations." Lyzee gently placed the last box in the growing pile next to the couch, careful to keep the area in front of the window clear. That was the designated spot for the main Christmas tree, a real one, she remembered. Her thoughts turned to her mom and wondered if she had any intentions of digging out their decorations. A pang of guilt lodged in Lyzee's heart she couldn't shake. Here she is, all holly and jolly, with her mom who knows where, doing who knows what. Lost in thought, she didn't know Gwen was talking until a small load of decorations was thrust in her direction. "Okay, go ahead and start putting these out. You can make a pile on the couch of anything non-festive and replace it with something here. Now that I think about it, we've lived in this house for 20 years. Yet, I don't think it's ever been decorated the same way twice. Just use your imagination." Gwen's voice muffled as her head disappeared back into one of the enormous boxes. With a critical eye, Lyzee inspected the placement of everything she had just put out. It looked all wrong. Her shoulders rounded as she wrapped her arms around her middle and slumped into the nearest chair. Even though she could feel Gwen's eyes on her, she avoided looking in her direction. "This is fun, right?" Gwen asked. Lyzee rubbed her throbbing jaw, aware of how tightly it must have been clinched. "Sure, just a little overwhelming," Lyzee explained, "but definitely fun." With a deep breath, she inhaled, filling her senses with cinnamon and gingerbread. The room even smelled like Christmas. She tried to shake off the uneasiness in the pit of her stomach, convince herself that she belonged here. Gwen stayed in the living room, and Lyzee took a box marked downstairs decor. Maybe if she could empty the boxes without thinking so much, she could get through this without breaking down. Now that there were only a few more boxes left to unpack, exhaustion was setting in. She had lost count how many times she'd run up and down the steps, or even what time it was. Gwen was nowhere to be seen, so Lyzee decided to retreat to her room. She grabbed the handrail, taking the steps 2 at a time, when a blast of cold air ran up her back, and she turned to see Mark's rosy cheeks grin, staring up at her. Her nose twitched when she recognized the lettering on the box he held out as inducement. Belknap Dough Company. Her grand plan to recuperate for the next hour had been officially derailed. I thought you ladies might be in need of some substance. Mark took a step back and his eyes twinkled with the reflection of the lights. It looks very festive in here, he marveled. Gwen rushed to his side and Lyzee watched them playfully tussle with the pizza box. She smiled at the two of them and stepped forward to remove the box from Mark's feeble grip. It was still warm to the touch when she opened the lid. Her eyes grew wide at the discovery of half a dozen pepperoni rolls nestled around the edges of the brick oven pizza. The bread from the rolls emitted the slightest hint of smoky flavor that nearly made her drool. Lyzee pinched off soft, warm bread that surrounded a stick of pepperoni and placed it on her tongue. She tried not to be conspicuous, but she couldn't stop watching Gwen and Mark. They were different now, a little more lighthearted, she thought. Sure, there were still moments when she felt their emptiness. She saw it in their lackluster facial expressions that they attempted to hide behind fake smiles. But today, all she saw was joy. Since I had the foresight to put on the outside lights up before the weather turned bitter, my work here is done, Mark said. He leaned his head back against the chair and closed his eyes. A grin played across his lips as the chair squealed into a full reclined position. We seem to be missing a very important decoration, don't you think, Lyzee? Gwen teased. I think so, Lyzee's voice barely above a whisper. She still couldn't get used to the new dynamics. Before the accident, she had been Rory's sidekick, but her role had since changed. Lyzee watched as Gwen darted across the room, her eyes glowing with mischief. She emerged with arms full of sparkling garland and bows that she thrust on Lyzee's lap. Come on, if we don't have a tree, we have no choice but to decorate Mark. Okay, I give up. Let's go get that tree, he said. Luminous displays of lights adorned the houses and lawns they passed. The colorful twinkling lights blurred as Lyzee's eyelids drooped and she rested her chin on the door panel. A bump in the road jarred her and she opened her eyes, trying to orient herself. Out of the front window, she could see the tall water tower looming ahead with the sign for Mount Union Road on the right. This would make the 5th trip she had made with the Coopers to Hidden Acres Christmas Tree Farm, and those were the landmarks which sparked her excitement. Only another turn and they'd be there. She straightened in the seat to stare out her window and noticed the single flake or two she had observed earlier had multiplied. It's snowing. And we're going to stop right there, about halfway through the chapter. We will pick it up next time to see what happens. I assume they're going to get a tree. All right, you guys. I hope you have a blessed day, and I will see you next time.